Thank you for the introduction. I just want to make sure that everyone is able to hear my microphone loud and clear. Please let me know.
Sound all right over here.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah.
And with me, as always, is my trusty sidekick, Brad Williams.
Well, hello there, Dan Merkin. You sound good to me, and it's a good Wednesday afternoon.
I agree, Brad. It's, as you know, Red Pill Wednesday, as you and I like to call it. This is going to be a deep webinar. It's going to be very engaging. You're going to learn a lot. I'm glad that there's a lot of new people here because you're at the right place. We're going to really take the lid off of a lot of things and expose some things. So let's get ready to rock and roll. Before we do that, before we go to the exciting presentation, we first must let you know that Trade Ideas is not a registered investment advisor. All the information that you're going to hear from myself, Brad, Scott, or any of the slides is for educational and informational purposes only. Should you need specific instructions on the purchase of securities, you need to consult a registered investment advisor. Okay, now that the disclaimer's out of the way, Brad, are you ready to dive into the deep water?
Let's do it.
All right, so first of all, kind of like some exciting things happening. A lot of you know us from working with us with our technology. We've been around since 2003. We are the leaders in tools for active speculators. And now we're doing an event in October. It's going to be October 1st in San Diego. If you are there, you should definitely, if you are local, you should definitely come. And it's going to be worth your time. There's going to be some speakers presenting really cool things. You're going to learn about some of the stuff that I'm going to talk about with Brad today. And of course, if you are not from California, this is a link where you can live stream it. So that's exciting because, again, we usually keep things pretty much on an online level, but this way you get to meet everybody, shake hands, and put a face on it, which we think is important. We are people too, even Brad.
Even me.
All right, Brad, truth hurts.
Yeah, you can't argue with that statement right there, right?
What I want to tell you is that almost everything you've been told about the stock market is somewhat of a lie. It's designed to make sure that things seem complicated and so that you are more inclined to give your money to other people and have them manage it professionally, quote unquote, so that fees are derived from your assets. But we're going to talk a lot about wealth and things like that, and it relates to this. So you're here though, and you're at this webinar. Quite a few of you already, and there's probably going to be more very soon. You're here because you're interested in seeing, is there something here that I'm missing? You bet your ass there is. And there's never been a more exciting time to see it. So Brad, you and I were talking about this slide.
My favorite place.
This is where Brad and I really spend a little bit too much time, unfortunately.
Atop the garbage heap.
Why is it difficult to find value in this garbage heap, Brad?
I don't know. There's just a lot of stuff there.
You got to sift through a lot of shit. You have to go through tons and tons of stuff, and most of it's what?
Garbage.
Exactly. That is why it's thrown away. It's there. There's a ton of it. Tons and tons and tons of stuff. So now we start peeling the layers, people. You ready? You need to really be honest here because you're seeing a lot of stuff. Let's focus on a couple of them that really catch my attention. There's the BW alligator, possibly named after Brad Williams. We noticed that ourselves today.
Possibly not.
The alligator part is the stuff that I find most amusing, of course, but if you dive in a little bit, you see some aroon, delicious fruit from the south of France. The auto wave, which is the only wave that I like to have. I mean, Brad, you know, you and I, we were talking about this, and like the more you read it, the funnier it gets.
I mean, there are just so many different ways to look at the market. Everybody's looking for an edge.
Turnover channel, the Fisher transform. We don't know what it transforms, but there is a Fisher one.
I like Kaufman's adaptive MA.
The Kaufman adaptive MA, not to be confused by the Kleiman unadaptive MA. So I don't want to pretend like I'm joking. Do you see this? Okay. Every tool that exists today to service you, the individual investor, has all of this in it. And it looks like this when you start adding it to charts. Brad and I just kind of did a random sample.
There's just a couple there, right? Just a couple.
There's the BW oscillator. There's the money flow, the MACD, and the volume. And I want you to be honest with yourself. Number one, if you realize if you're looking at this chart on a 5-minute graph, but it would look the same on pretty much any graph. Okay, here's where you have to be really honest. This is just stuff that makes you need to squint. What on earth is that? That's like some Darth Vader ghost. This person has a personality disorder. You don't want to hang out with him, right, Brad? Because he's all over the place. When he's drunk, he's all violent, but he's super sweet when he gets defensive. You know, what is this? And I mean, some of it looks just like the price, some of it doesn't. But for the most part, it is 99% junk. But they expect you to lay it over this data and derive value from it. Okay? So this has been happening to individuals since, you know, since before computers, because there's really nothing else you could do to it. At first, it was kind of like a quest for fire, right, Brad? It's like, where is it? Can we see something? Is there something that we can see that others don't? Like an Elliott wave or a Kaufman wave. But if you've been to any of our webinars before, we tell you that there's just zero amount of information that a human person can derive looking at this. The best that you could do is pump all of this into a machine that would tell you when any of this wavy thingy doing this thingamajiggery, had anything to do with any of these other points. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is actually exactly what Trade Ideas does. But the fat cat vendors, and you know who they are, people that service this market, they want to continue the perpetuity of this, the fractals, the choppiness, the DMA, which Brad and I were completely certain possibly were just literally 4 letters thrown together.
I mean, it just completely mystifies the market using this stuff.
Well, you can get lost. And what happens is this. They want you chasing your own tail. Because when you're preoccupied with trying to figure out which one of those unearthly things actually does anything when the answer is none. You know, when you're preoccupied, you keep paying your subscription fees. Thank you. Come again. But let's talk about again, you know, because you're at the Q&A webinar. We're going to show you, you know, what's really going on. But let's talk about wealth. You're here hopefully to understand that when you are index investing, when you're giving your money to somebody else and they put you on the bus, the Greyhound of financial interaction with the markets, you are only going to go where the bus goes. Whereas I and Brad, we like to drive our own cars. And when you drive your own car, you have the freedom to have that car go wherever you go. Why is it that you have been told that you cannot drive? Wealth acquisition is rewarded by taking calculated risk. It's either transferred through birth, like, you know, my son will get some of mine and Brad's will get some of his. But if you don't have any and you want to acquire it, the only way to acquire it is through taking calculated risk. That is what is rewarded. So you're in the right place. But the question is, how do you do it, right? And we have that answer. We are using risk as a executing strategy. How to use it, understand how to apply risk the proper way. And there is really just one way to do it. It's based on statistics. So Brad, do you recall we used this slide to demonstrate what
I think happened last week, right?
Yeah, so this was on September 5th, and today's the 20th, I believe, right? So 15 days later.
Yeah.
We're going to see a little bit more information. But on September 5th, the Trade Ideas Artificial Intelligence, which is your proper approach. Don't get me wrong, I am self-promoting, but I'm just telling you that the proper way to speculate is with statistical data. And that is why our subscribers win. This is what we hunt. This is what we look for. This is what we strive to try to find. This is the reason why you are here. And here's a 32% gain. And all of this is based on statistics. Executing risk-taking strategy based on statistics. We are the only single vendor in the kingdom of fintech that does that. We are the only ones that have come out there and said, hey guys, we actually don't have a shovel for you to use or a pickaxe for you to use when you are gold digging. We have a mine. We have a mine that's already lit up. And what you need to do is get your little trolley and put it in the proper mine. That's Brad. I mean, I think that's the way that what I'm trying to communicate, that is the approach. I want to make sure, first of all, that everyone's kind of caught up and understands that right now they are looking at my screen at Trade Ideas Pro, which is the product that we vend in application form. There's also, of course, a version of this for the web. But you're seeing my desktop application. And Brad, is everyone seeing it well? Is it?
Yep, it's coming through. It's coming through pretty good.
Are there any questions about anything that you have just heard? Any minds completely blown? Anybody want to cry? Come on, Brad, it's a tough crowd.
I'm glad you pulled up, you know, just you had ALDX, you know, on your screen here, because a couple weeks ago, when it was PULM, that was a 30%er. This guy right here, when it was called out, I think it was a 50%er. You know, yeah. So while it's not happening every day, it's mining and hunting for these things on a regular basis.
Well, there's so much to tell our audience here in this particular webinar. So many exciting things. Again, number one, ladies and gentlemen, you are looking at the world's only artificial intelligence that is designed to be a human speculator. Think on that for a second. Okay. It is an array of servers in San Diego that are connected directly to the market, processing tons and tons of tick data that are programmed to get into trades when the statistics line up perfectly, and then manage them based on just a combination of a systemic rule set that we continue to adjust as the market adjusts. The best part of which is that while Brad and I are yapping, and I've said this, my goodness, Brad, every single time we've done a presentation, while Brad and I are yapping and Brad is typing away, what the artificial intelligence engine is doing right now is studying everything that has happened today. Why did it, for example, get into this trade that was in at 724 and went all the way up to 770? Why did it get into this trade that went up from 3710 all the way to 3780 before coming down some? It restudies it and hundreds of thousands of other trades. And then tomorrow we are going to be presented with signals that we choose to follow. That's the approach. So imagine this, virtual reality. Brad, I've been loving kind of giving people this metaphor. Everyone is so, you know, you look at venture capital, they're like, virtual reality.
Oh, that's whatever.
I'd like a helping of 3 virtual reality unicorns and an appetizer of augmented reality. I mean, it all sounds amazing, right? But what the hell is virtual reality? One of the problems, of course, is that you put on one of those helmets, and the first time you take a step in the direction, your body's not built for wearing that thing on your head. And again, a lot of times you feel like you want to puke. But what we have here is actually a virtual reality trader, a person, but it's designed to be a person, but it's an AI that puts on trades that says, hey, do you want to follow me? This is what I am doing. And by the way, this is how every single successful speculator ever did it. You don't really get trading, you're not born with trading skills because there's so much counterintuitivity. There's tons of feel, and then there's risk management, and of course being able to commit to the trade itself. So we've taught the AI all of this, okay? And this is where we are now. When you were guessing, so Brad, let me, again, you know, this whole webinar, it's about making a very clear point. Let me show you. So when we first came to market, and we've been around since 2003, we could let somebody go and look at a pattern, like breaking out on volume, and you click on it, and you would realize, by the way, Brad, that one looks pretty darn good. Like, this looks good. I wonder if I should get into it, okay? So, but the only way you could know is like you could take some notes or whatever. Then eventually we created our own technology called the odds maker. And the odds maker allowed us to go in there, take anything like this, okay, and basically say, okay, well, from the open to the close, if I'm trading these and holding it 30 minutes, and again, I'm just doing a hypothetical, what happens? Now, this is where the law of large numbers really comes into play, and why we know to throw away your technical indicators. Look at the amount of data that's being crunched right now. Look at it just gulp there, Brad. Just gulping, 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 hating, and gulping.
Well, it's just a lot of data that it's analyzing, crunching, and all the different scenarios that exist. You know, you have to remember that you could go ahead and change one filtered data point, one small iota, and run this again and have a completely different set of, you know, data points that it's looking at.
No doubt. But just so you can see, it'll be done in a second. The point being is being able to ask questions that are legitimate, real questions. Like, for example, how far do you go in 30 minutes? That's the kind of question that the software should be able to answer, but unfortunately, most people just don't know how to ask because they just don't have that data. So here we did it. We just blasted through. That's Brad just feverishly typing away. It's not me, right, Brad? That's you.
Can you hear me when I'm doing that?
You're fever typing, homie.
Really, I thought I was muting my mic. I'm really sorry.
It's okay, buddy. It's all right. But anyways, but imagine now, look at what we're able to see. Look at the success rate of a breakout. Roughly 44%. And by the way, this thing's moving out on volume. Now, of course, we only tested something like 30 minutes, right? But let's go into the future an hour, okay? Do one more, a quick blast through. So you can now hypothesize different things like, hey, well, maybe, I'm just off on how long I hold it. What's better? How do I allocate my capital? Like, man, not really. Nope. You can go even longer. Okay. You can ask better questions. Like, for example, maybe I want to hold this breakout until the market open 14 days from now. Well, here you can see, like, well, maybe I'm catching a little bit more of the bullish trend. Which way is the wind blowing? But notice, please, what you're seeing. Look at the success rate. I mean, this is the part, Brad, where people really could appreciate the amount of truth that's being spilled over, because this is the critical stuff, and this is really part of what's making us be the game changer that we're making. So, Brad, what did we learn from 6 years of the odds maker is that every guess that you make, so when you and I, so you're looking at this right here, I'm going to move it away from the thing.
So you're saying it's actually 10 years, but
right. And I forgot to pin it, but it doesn't matter. The point is, when I see something like this, right, and I see it, the odds of it, without me having any AI analysis, is about 44% that I'll get it right.
It's a coin flip, right?
It's a coin flip, correct. So how do we change that? Well, our approach, ladies and gentlemen, is the card counting approach. So using that odds maker technology, what Brad and I have done, I don't know why I brought that up. What Brad and I have done is we have created the strategy concepts rather, that we told about to our computer, and this is the success rates that it works with. So when you're guessing at 44% always. Our computer is guessing at 63. Just think on that for a minute. Let's all digest what Dan just said. Every guess that you make without this kind of data is roughly a 44% error. Now, sometimes, by the way, even at a 44% rate, you can get 10 in a row. You might accidentally think that that 10 in a row is an indication of how you're going to roll. You will be mistaken. So back to this part right here, if I may. Taking risk, having a strategy, a systems approach, and having that approach be on statistics gives us an opportunity to be in the PULM. So let's take a look at what that thing looked like, Brad. Okay, so look, remember we pulled it up right here. Boom, amazing, right? Kind of closed on highs and everything. Okay. So the next day it went even higher, all the way to 270 or 268, but really closed kind of on lows at 211. Floundered for the next 1, 2, 3, 4, but in opportunities where, again, if you're in at this price, which is 187, I mean, you're holding substantial profits, where yesterday you were back to 245 at one point, you're still 209. Does it work for swing trading? I mean, of course. The whole notion of short term is a ridiculous notion. Brad and I have done many webinars where we brought up things like Weight Watchers, okay, and talk about how, you know, the AI started sensing this early. And so this is the other thing, Brad, that maybe I even glossed over because I'm so used to it now. The reason why we are taking it to the next level is, I don't know if you're seeing this, but I mean, well, you are, but you may not be aware that you are seeing the artificial intelligence footprints on stocks that it has traded. So now the whole Trade Ideas platform, every channel that we have, will give you previous times that the AI has been in it, and you will then see if the AI has done good or bad, and we don't know. That's the beauty of it. We don't know here. It had a buy. It didn't do that well for a few days, but now look at it turn around. Now you might actually know that this data, you know, it took a little bit of time to develop, but there's more confidence in it. So what we are able to do now is, number one, we have more information to give us a better foothold. Let's remember real quick, what do we do different? Brad, lots of people forget that every time you see a stock at any point in time, wherever you are, you see a suggested smart stop and a suggested profit target for any point in time. So our software is automatically assuming anytime you pull something up, that's the time you're getting in, and gives you, it's kind of like bird's eye view. Here's what I would do if I were you. No matter where you are, no matter what you do. Again, there's no other software that's doing this. It's so subtle, it's so understated that you literally might not.
Well, I mean, it's doing some great math behind the scenes right there. It's looking at how volatile that stock is, what kind of volume it's doing, what kind of range it had for the day, and really taking all those components to say this stock right here has this kind of risk associated with it.
And it will also adjust as the movement adjusts. So while that's here right now, because our system listens to its own data, as this starts to change and wherever it goes, this will also move because the software is assuming you're getting into it now. Okay? That is the beauty of what we do. And again, here, you quickly now get another piece of this data that you're just not going to get on FinViz or any other brokerage platform anywhere else. It is the how did the AI, which way did the AI play it, and how did it do? And again, now you have some perspective. Nailed it, nailed it. This was a tough one. I mean, you see what it was doing, but then a big pullback and it totally stopped. No more trying to pick the bottoms, didn't see it, didn't see it, didn't see it. But look at the subsequent move. Now it's telling you that maybe this data actually was stronger. I mean, that's kind of how you see it, because definitely the bias is long. So all of a sudden, people who are trade ideas customers, and again, I had no idea, Brad, that this happened, but let's just talk about it. Or we can just look at it in silence and drool.
I mean, there's a lot to be said, you know. It's one of the 31st.
Things. So August 31st, very, V-E-R-I. And by the way, just so that you know, at this point, it would have looked overbought, right, Brad?
Yeah, it would look like it was at the top of the range for certain.
These words and terms that have been put into your head by people who don't know mathematics. It's overbought. It's oversold.
Well, that's what a move looks like before it really takes off.
I feel like George Carlin. We're at the top, we're at the bottom. You know, it's just constant, nonstop blabbering. Meanwhile, here's what you're able to do when you have access to our technology. This is what we are bringing to the table, outsized returns. This happened in real time. And nothing here. And by the way, look, Brad, I mean, it wasn't pretty, but let's just see, what did it do in Bed Bath & Beyond? A short sell at what price? 29. I mean, of course, it would have been better here or here, etc. But let's just look at, where is it now? You have now a deeper set of data than anyone else. You are viewing information that is not available to any other subscribers anywhere on the planet except for trade ideas. You are able to see when and if ever an AI does something, and by the way, you're also able to see mistakes. The AI is not always right, which is why we use risk criteria, and then also have to perfectly honestly disclaim the fact that sometimes there's just nothing that you can do, right, Brad? I mean, people think that there's some sort of magic silver bullet. Ultimately, the future is unknown. You can have the best mathematical Gatling gun that there is on the planet, and I believe, Brad, to the tune of Wolverine, we have that. We are the best at real-time data analysis on Mother effing Earth. Bitch slap the NSA if they ever, you know, wanted to go toe-to-toe with their people spying tech. But there's nothing to hide is the thing. You know, we have been able to create create a different environment for our subscribers, an environment where you are not confined to the traditional way of looking at information. Notice again, you can see footprint indication. Does the AI think it's a long or a short? Well, it's a long. Did it work out? No. But can it again? Absolutely. And look, you know, you can set your own alerts. This is how you use proper information, where you say, okay, well, this was a buy candidate. I wonder what it saw the volatility. Look at the volume here, right, Brad? I mean,
yeah,
this worked. At this point, by the way, this worked and worked for, you know, a while, from 4 to 6, from almost 5 still to 6. You had time.
Yeah, you did.
You had plenty of time to get out, including, by the way, here, if you really were glutton for punishment. But the point I'm saying is that while the future is unknown, the opportunity aspect of being able to detect where opportunity, which is alpha, which goes back to that the notion that we talked about, allocating risks, okay? That is, that's the name of the game, and this is what we do, and we're the only ones that do it. Again, everything you do, no matter what you pull up, let's pull up some favorites. I'm just rewinding on something you must know. You pull up the favorite, you want to get into Apple right here. AI says, okay, well, this is where I would get out. This would be my stop. This would be my profit target at the very, very short term. You want to do it to NVIDIA? Stop right here. You can just zoom out to see it, but basically, since NVIDIA was closing on lows, here's your stop. Sensed word before, this is the area, all figured out by the AI for you. Wherever you are, whichever things you're doing, it figures it out. Here you are now. Okay, that didn't work out. We set an alert when it really starts to go, but in the meantime, if you're speculating, this is your out, this is your profit target. I mean, who else does that for every single situation at any point in time that you see? And now finally, Brad, let's touch upon the last part, which is your market DNA. If you notice here, there's an additional tag that we're creating to the charts where you can basically like them, okay? As you go around looking at different charts and you end up liking them, the computer will store that information. It'll store the symbols, the time frames. It'll create a symbol list for you. But you will also be able to track that in your own calendar view, which will tell you the days you liked something. So it's kind of like a soft alert. You don't know exactly why you didn't do this whole, because again, you can go to any stock and trade ideas. You can right click and go to create price alert. And here you can say breaking out for sure. And when that triggers, you'll be notified. But what if you're not exactly, you know, sure what's going on? Like, this could do it, I don't know, but I like it. You know, this is the kind of action that I like right here, but it's right at this point. I don't know what to do right now. So that's what we're adding, and you will be able to tag these and then review your own tagging. It's like your own drone that's following you around. So Brad, how are we on questions? Where are we in general?
Yeah, I think there's one question from Anthony that hasn't been answered, and he was curious how the AI manages the conservation of capital when trades are causing a drawdown of the capital. And I don't know that I have an AI answer for him there, because we're not managing his account. We don't really know what that capital requirement is. But
okay, so let's make sure that Anthony understands what the AI does. So the AI is a system that every day starts flat, then gets into trades throughout the day. So it kind of creates a micro index for itself, and it has two outcomes, a risk on and a risk off. So it has a conservative and a more volatility favored method, and one of them will be better than the other every day. But the AI does not know how much capital you have in the stock. We're, by the way, adding a way for you to be able to do that soon. But right now it does not know that. So what you have to kind of do is sort of, this is where you apply your own human skills. So you have to understand how you were traded based on what is your account size, what are your commission rates, and everybody's specific risk profile. Like I can have $50,000 in an account and have a vastly different risk profile than someone who has $50,000, but that's all their money and they've scraped it up and they just cannot risk more than 10%. You know, so again, everything is completely different. But Anthony, the AI is a virtual feed. It's not placing these trades. These are tags of when it basically said, this is when you should have done it. So here the AI said, I think you should have bought CBAY at 415, at 345, 490, 5, 7, and it continued today. So like here you can see that it has figured it out. And that's, by the way, the other beautiful part of it. I mean, you can see now that, oh, these guys, their AI is figuring out the algorithms that are moving, or the simple way that supply demand is interacting. And what's our advantage, right? Our advantage is trying to figure out the proper price, the deal. So apparently it was a deal here, deal here, deal here, deal here, deal here, still could be a deal. You understand, we cannot control the future, but we are being able to identify supply and demand alpha opportunities. Okay, Brad, any other questions? And maybe that helped, I hope.
Yeah, we got a nice question from Kurt. Go ahead and do me a favor and pop on over to the sector channel.
Sector channel. Okay, sure. Here it is.
Okay, and so Javier is asking a question, how can you get more of the sector windows that are over on the right-hand side of the screen where we've got pharmaceuticals, air transportation, and so on. So this is kind of, the way we look at the channels is kind of like a roadmap for you to see how we actually configured stuff. And you can kind of take what we did here, this roadmap, and kind of make it your own by having your own different sectors in there that you're interested in looking at. And so what you can do is you can just right-click on any of those windows and open it up, pull up the configure window, go to the symbol list area, and that's really how these different sectors are built. We go to our symbol list area, and then if you go to the add existing list area, where you can kind of go into the tree and really see all the different sub-industry groups and industry groups and subsectors and sectors, and really kind of drill down into it. So you can set it up how you want it right here. And the thing is, you may or may not want to put filters in this window and just have the columns display the data that you want. Or you may want to filter it so you're only looking at stocks in a particular sector that are doing something. So, you know, you can kind of use what we've built and really make it your own.
A lot of customizability. So Trade Ideas is a lot like a Tesla. It has your full auto drive. It'll do it all for you. But you can really tweak out the experience if you want.
So, and then another thing that Javier is looking at is the bar that we have down at the bottom that's giving you a percentage breakdown. So you can really tell that bar what you want it to look at. So if you right-click in that bar, Dan, do me a favor, like in that bar, right-click. And so you've got, based on the different filters that you have in that window, you can really define what percentage you're looking at. So if you set it up change from the closed percentage, then you're going to get that mix. And there's another thing that we did here. It's called bookending a window. Good, do me a favor, look at air transportation or pharmaceuticals and see if we bookended those. Drop to the bottom. And so yeah, these are bookended. So go into the configuration here and maybe we can show them what we did here. I think this is bookended. No, that's not. It's not bookended, but effectively when you bookend a window, it gives you the ability to look at both extremes. So for instance, if you had a big sector of, you know, mining, oil and gas, and you wanted to see all stocks that were above 4% and all stocks that were below 4%, you can configure that in your window. So I guess we didn't do it here, but we have a few other windows configured like that. So use the channels as kind of a blueprint for setting your own self up for your own personal layout.
And Brad, one of the things that we've worked on many years is this. Although you can do that, remember that time was spent making each one of these channels usable from the get-go. So, you know, the idea was that you didn't really have to spend a lot of time tweaking everything out. These windows are all set up, and sometimes you can be like, oh, I like this volume thrust. You can just duplicate that window and move it to, you know, wherever you want, and you can pin it so you can keep it here, right? So now I can channel surf and be like, oh, okay, this is interesting. Nice buy opportunities here, guys. Good work. You know, go through this. Oh, AI suggested bullish. I'm going to duplicate that, pop that guy out, and pin that. So now that I've got these two windows, I'm going to go back to, let's say, this channel. So you see, and I still have these. Or I can go to my active trading layout, which has a lot of stuff, and I can still have these two that I really like from the social media and from the volume, while I'm looking at all the rest of this stuff. So the AI alerts are automated. In other words, that's when they come in. And as we have mentioned before, we have this technology that links this to interactive brokerage. So anybody who uses interactive brokerage and trade ideas can right click and go right in and basically, boom, automatically trade each one of these signals. And you can put into the order, this is where, again, your personal risk profile comes into play. Into your own order ticket, you put in how many dollars you want in, what kind of, you know, additional stop criteria. You make it your own. But you can do it right from the screen. And this is what people do. I mean, this is why Brad, I mean, I've said this over the year, we've bridged that automation gap as much as possible, and probably pretty soon we've moved away from the no automation at all, and going to probably give some of that access soon. But in the meantime, I mean, you've got everything that you need, and this is what people are doing.
So Dan, Randy's got a great question here. A lot of times we kind of go over kind of fly over this because, you know, we move right into the AI and stuff, but his question is specific to the differences between an alert window and a top list window. These are two different visualization tools that we have inside of Trade Ideas that really show data in two different ways.
So let me pop these two out, and what I'm going to show you the best way to understand. So notice this window right here. It says most unusual movers between 101 and 101.29. So this is kind of like a ranking list that refreshes every 30 seconds. Whereas this window, an alert, this happens all in real time. And if I go to history, I can see that, like, see, here's 103.58, 103.22, like to the second, and it's actually even more, but just, you know, you can kind of understand that this is streaming, and it streams very fast. So it's like boom, 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 boom. You see FND, 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 FND. This is like what catches your attention.
And I think really this is actually a great channel that kind of shows some of the interesting stuff that you can do with a top list window. So a top list window can be really generic and standard, like this is my list of stocks that gained the most for the day or lost the most for the day. But we've got a couple examples down at the bottom there, the biggest bounce on losers and the biggest pullback on winners. So we're kind of taking that concept of a list of stocks that did well and a list of stocks that did poorly, and then adding some of the Trade Idea secret sauce to it, looking at maybe how much it's pulled back or how much it's bounced, and giving us a fresh way to look at a list of stocks.
That's right, Maverick. And whereas here, it's again, depending on what you want to do. If you're interested in getting in, this is a great price. And if you're interested in selling, it's shown some weakness. Again, obviously, in this particular case, you know, we are not sure, except for the AI has been long, which again, I would give me more confidence to be long as well. And so I would probably avoid shorting it. There you go. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the future. It's here. This is the only artificial intelligence that's made for the individual investor. We keep kicking the indexes, but I have to, again, be honest, indexing, it's just not a very sophisticated way to work towards outsized returns. It really, honestly, can't be done. This all happened in real time. You saw it. And this is why we're the fastest growing fintech in the US. We are giving people finally what they need to speculate actively. One of the ways that we succeed, aside from having good software, of course, and Brad's incredible golf handicap and the kind of good stuff that we have there through years and years of success, is we figured, of course, a community, and the way that Brad and I learned in person is critical. So our community is managed by Barry Anderson, one of the members of our team who's been with us for a long time. He's out of Canada, and every day he starts the market in the Trade Ideas trading room. He and I both get into trades that we put into the announcement section, and Barry leads the room in proper best cases and best use practices of active speculation. Very active room, and it's free for everybody, so there's nothing for you to do. We have a podcast that we do every Friday. We'd love for you to listen. This is where we really explore more of the emotional, the human, and the nitty-gritty side of the market, but some of the things that you've seen here, which is forget all that crap and understand that odds are the key to success. Tune in. It's a really fun podcast, and we've been getting a bigger and bigger audience. We have our event. You've already seen the slide, but this is our second annual event. We did one last year when we focused on women investors, because we like to do things a little bit differently. But this one, we're going to showcase a completely different group of speakers that you don't hear about everywhere else, but are quite engaging and have an interesting story to tell. And this is all about that future that we just demonstrated, the future of artificial intelligence as the methodology to select your idea candidates for risk allocation. If you are local in San Diego, please come visit. How do we make money? Let's just talk about that for a minute. Trade Ideas is a subscription as a service business, and we have several different ways that you can use it. If you want to use the basic product that does not include AI, there's a $99 a month fee. You can cancel at any time, and of course, an $888 annual fee. For the premium service, the price is $188 a month or $1,888 a year. It is pittance, zero. It's disgusting to me how small this is, Brad. I'm sorry to be rude to you.
Are you being rude to me?
This is, you know, that just so that you guys know, we spoke to like a very big VC firm. The price of something like this should be around $4,500. And the funny thing is, again, people don't quite even know how to value these things yet. And to attract the guys that like to pay $4,500, that's not where we want to be. We want to give this to the individual, and so we are able to give you artificial intelligence for $1,888. And guess what, guys? Starting in next year, the price is going to go up. We've revamped our risk models. We've made it easier for you to stay in, and the AI has gotten better and better as it learned. So this price, this is going to be grandfathered to people, but you're going to have the last part of the year, this last quarter, and then it is going bye-bye, sayonara, sail away. So for being here and participating with us, see, Joe's right, Brad. I'm seeing Joe. We want to tell you that Holly Trades, all caps, gives you a promo code, 15% off of your first month or off of annual. Guys, if you think about what we charge, and again, it's disgusting, and I blame Brad for it, it's roughly $4.40 per day for artificial intelligence, so we're right there on par with your venti latte and a lot less than medical school. And, you know, my good friend Dr. Andy, who's worked on both Brad and I, you know he's busy. He's always working. No golf for him, Brad.
No golf, but he could trade.
He can, that's right. $4.40. It's because we are very efficient. We just broke the Inc. 5000 fastest growing companies in the United States, part of the Red Herring 100 winner, and we're getting tons of awards because we're starting to break through. People are starting to get it. People like yourselves. Come to our website, like us on Facebook, come to this event. We're going to open some more eyes. But the bottom line is, we are the game changers. We are the only ones with the technology that not only beats the market, but trounces it. And we're cocky about it because we're proud. We've been doing it for over 14 years while everybody basically was just trying to sell you guys more indicators and BW alligators. We're working on our tech, and now you have it. So everyone, thank you very much. Scott, is there anything that I am missing, young man?
No, that sounds good. And if anyone wants some of those cards that you were showing with the discount codes or registration for the event, just go ahead and download the handout before we end the meeting. There's the handouts panel on your GoToWebinar interface. Just click the little arrow next to where it says handouts and download the PDF. And hopefully everyone registers for the live stream. You also get access to the recordings of the talks and panels if you're unable to watch it live on Sunday the 1st. Thanks everyone for coming to the webinar. Thanks, Dan.
Thank you very much. We really appreciate it. And again, would love to see you guys in person or on the live stream. Thank you, Scott and Brad, and take care. We'll see you soon at the next live event.
Thanks. Bye.